It's the tale of an 8-year-old estranged from his family after years of neglect from his deadbeat mother and absentee father. And this child is then forced to defend the family property from some burglars using extreme prejudice and excessive amounts of blunt force trauma. Home Alone. In the 1980s, director John Hughes had been the go-to guy for movies about 16-year-old girls. I mean, that sounds creepier than it is. And so he turned his attention to producing a movie about a young boy who befriends an old man while fending off 2 criminals intent on causing him harm, which also sounds creepier than it is. Like, it's not supposed to sound creepy, so let's try another tack. Chris Columbus, who had written movies such as Gremlins and The Goonies, moved his career forward one step by becoming a director and upgrading his films to start with the letter H. Home Alone was an amiably silly family comedy that became the biggest box office hit of 1990.
It's not even rated R.
The McAllisters are a working-class salt-of-the-earth family getting by on food stamps. No, that's not quite right either. They actually look pretty well off, rich even. But their uncle got a job in Paris and paid for 12 plane tickets for the entire family to fly to Paris for the holidays. So rather than just the uncle buying tickets for him and his immediate family to go home, he buys a dozen tickets to bring his family to him, first class for the parents, because that sounds remotely plausible. Actually, it sounds downright dodgy, almost like a scheme from French gangsters to kidnap and then sell the McAllisters into slavery. Through a series of utterly believable developments, young Kevin McAllister is left by himself, home alone, if you will, while his parents swan off to Paris to see the Crazy Horse review. However, a pair of burglars calling themselves the Wet Bandits is working the hood. They're named Wet Bandits because they urinate over their victims' corpses before dousing them in gasoline and setting them on fire. Harry and Marv... Hang on. Look, it's a family comedy, so it's not that dark. Harry and Marv have cased the neighbourhood and have their eyes set on the McAllister home as the crown jewel of their crime wave, since, through the uncle's French mob connections, they're all super rich. Harry and Marv just need the detonators that Kevin has purloined. No, that's Die Hard.
Yeah, hi, look, I'm calling from Paris. I have a son who's home alone. Our phones there are out of order, so
Look, it's a very obvious and very, very well-worn joke, told by many, and we're not in any way claiming to be the first to say that Die Hard and Home Alone share a similar plot. We're not the first to demonstrate that many elements of the story of a tough New York cop who finds himself fighting villains alone at Christmas, and Home Alone about a young boy who has to fend off burglars using his wits.
Did they come back?
I made my family disappear.
Macaulay Culkin, who had been a precocious kid in Uncle Buck, was now the precocious Kevin McAllister, apparently a helpless and clueless kid, who it turns out is not as clueless or helpless as he seems. He actually gets by pretty well on his own.
I can't seem to find my toothbrush, so I'll pick one up when I go out today. Other than that, I'm in good shape.
His career was My Girl, Home Alone 2, Richie Rich, and then playing himself as an adult in ads. Here's Culkin today.
911 emergency.
Oh, my house is being robbed. My address is 656 Lincoln Boulevard. My name's Murphy.
Catherine O'Hara, who, according to the internet, was apparently in things before Schitt's Creek, plays Kate McAllister, the deadbeat mother and possibly the third worst movie mother after those in Mommy Dearest and Carrie. A mother who doesn't do a proper head count of her kids before boarding a plane for a human trafficking experience in Paris. I mean, Jesus, this is getting needlessly dark, isn't it? Kate then moves heaven and earth to get back to Kevin, even accepting a ride in the Polka Bang bus with John Candy.
No, he's just home alone. And I would like somebody to go over to the house and see that he's all right, just to check on him.
I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
Yes!
Joe Pesci had also appeared that year in a career-defining role in Goodfellas, for which he won an Oscar, but an entire generation of people who've grown up with this movie know him from Home Alone, where he is repeatedly assaulted by a child. He's nothing like the violent mobster from Goodfellas, and he showed a comedic flair that served him well throughout the 90s.
Go check it out.
Now?
Daniel Stern played the slightly stupider of the two burglars, a role not all that different from his other roles like City Slickers or the narrator from The Wonder Years.
Harry, it's our calling card.
Calling card.
All the great ones leave their mark. We're the Wet Bandits.
Neither really plays the role as pure comic book stupid crooks. They have a PG-friendly level of extreme nastiness about them. Like that one maths teacher in school who thinks they are an army drill instructor.
Why the hell you dressed like a chicken?
I mean, you're not supposed to feel sympathy for these two, but the audiences still love them anyway, which is why the film's epilogue that explained what happened to the characters after the film was cut after negative reactions from test audiences. It's so very dark, isn't it?
I'm up here, you morons! Come and get me!
The movie was a huge success and kickstarted a franchise, though Macaulay Culkin would only appear in Home Alone 2, where he was terrorised by a crook in New York. Subsequent sequels featured different precocious kids. Home Alone 3 had no relation to the original films other than the basic premise. Home Alone 4 was a TV movie where Kevin, now the product of a broken home, was living with his deadbeat mother. Home Alone 5 showed a grown-up Kevin, now played by Tom Hanks, marooned on an island. Home Alone 6 was James Franco left behind in the desert where he had to cut off his own arm. Home Alone 7 had Matt Damon playing Kevin. He was now left behind on Mars by his mum, played by Bryce Dallas Howard. And now Disney has the rights to the franchise, so more Home Alone films are coming, but with J.J. Abrams directing 2 of these. The first one will be a bit derivative but fun, but oh boy, avoid the second one. Jesus, so dark. Anyway, the first film is a fun family film that you can enjoy for its silliness and the charm of its cast, and it provided an over-the-top template for how to film and edit slapstick that would be presented in films for years to come. It's even got John Williams doing the score. I mean, he was young and he needed the money, I dig. The evil genius of a Christmas movie, regardless of quality, is that it gets trotted out every year on television or on streaming services, making money hand over fist for whoever owns the rights. I mean, Polar Express was considered a massive flop when it came out, but because it's a Christmas movie, watching it has become a perennial favourite activity during the holidays, like spiking the eggnog with LSD at the office Christmas party. Or is that just me? Home Alone is that Christmas movie that isn't awful or too cloyingly saccharine, like so many Christmas favourites. It's got a mix of heart and cynicism, and it's a fun way to get into the holiday spirit.
You guys give up, or you're thirsty for more?
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, leave a comment below, or check out some of our other videos.